Well, if you asked my mom, she would say when I was 2 years old, they had the walls painted and my bedroom was next to theirs. In the middle of the night, she heard some singing going on, and I was drawing on the wall. She said that was the only time she spanked me. So that's probably why I did it. But from the early age, I had what they call golden hands. I could do all sorts of things with my hands, paint, draw, as some say, make marks. So, and it was something that I loved. So my mother saw that I got art lessons, and whether it was drawing. In junior high school, I had a teacher who kind of singled me out and gave me feedback that made me want to do more art. And from that time on, it was just something that was a gift, a given, a direction, and encouraged by extracurricular art classes at various different locations in Detroit, which is where I grew up. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity to go to, it was a training ground for people who were going into the auto industry to learn how to draw and paint professionally. And they had classes for teenagers. So that was called the Arts and Crafts Society of Detroit, and it was near the Art Museum, the Detroit Art Institute. And then I also had the opportunity to take classes when I was in high school, after school classes at Cranbrook, which is a very fine graduate program and private high school graduate program for the arts. And then I majored in fine art when I went off to college at the University of Michigan in the art school there, and had a mentor teacher who I took as many classes from as I could there in printmaking, in lithography, in his studio workshop. And then we came here, and I married a person who was an artist also, so we share that pathway and understanding of how to enter the world visually. And when we came here, my husband and I set up a print studio, a lithography studio here within our house with the encouragement of my mentor teacher from University of Michigan. And we're doing lithography here in our home studio. Yeah.
I've heard you mention several different mentors in your description of how you came into the art world. And I also remember that when you talked about the threads of connection, illuminated letters, there were also mentors involved there. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I went into creating sacred works when my path in fine art incorporated some imagery that was from my heritage, from my Jewish background, but it wasn't a major portion of what I was doing. It was just a part of the imagery visual vocabulary that I was creating. But I found that my own background within Judaism was not developed enough to be confident about the letters or the imagery that I was using. So I began to study more deeply to make certain that the images I was creating would be based on the tradition, and that the lettering would be correct and the words would be spelled correctly in Hebrew, which meant I had to study. But in addition to that, because we were raising our children with Jewish traditions and customs, I knew that when our first child was a girl, she would have a bat mitzvah, which hadn't happened for me. but what we would see would happen for her, and that the image, I would need to create new imagery for her because the custom was so new. So I created a hat that I knew would be used in synagogue, but I also, when my parents had their 50th wedding anniversary, thought that a way to honor them would be to create a Torah cover. And that was really the first ceremonial piece that would be in a public setting. And from then, I said, well, this is really fun. I'm really enjoying this. And I wanted to create a set of Torah mantles for the same synagogue. And it just blossomed from there until I would travel, and I made work that's all over the world at this point. Sacred work and ceremonial pieces are certainly all over the continent, and some certainly various other places which I may or may not know about, but over the years has traveled.